right, everybody. Welcome back to Two Bid SoCon. It's just me and Taylor this week. Jack is out of town. But Taylor, how you doing this holiday season?
I'm doing good. Holiday season means conference play is about to start, and that's what I'm really looking forward to.
That
These
is what
non-conference are all over the place.
that is what we are all looking forward to on a bittersweet episode today of Two Bid SoCon. A farewell and an ode to non-conference play. Kind of sort of a halfway point, not really in the season. Still got a long way to go, but we've had a chance to kind of see these teams for almost 2 months now. Starting to get a better idea of where they all kind of stand and who the contributors are for each team, and so with that, we're going to be able to look back on our preseason predictions, point out where we were right, point out where we were wrong.
Oh boy,
But before
it's gonna be
that,
rough for me.
we have a little recap of non-conference play. But first, we'll go over a little bit of the action last night in the league. Taylor and I were fortunate enough to be at the Citadel Vanderbilt game.
Which we thought they put up a little more of a fight at least.
Which, yeah, that one was over within 8 minutes.
Yeah,
So we got to leave early.
yeah.
But some of the similar results: Chattanooga 99-52 over Tennessee Wesleyan. Furman 100-75 over Montreat.
Powerhouse.
ETSU taking it to Elon 84.
I was impressed with that one.
That
25
was
points off the bench too from Cabine, which is
very
they've needed that desperately.
And Samford in the desert goes down 96-64 to Arizona. Taylor, any notes on the Citadel Vanderbilt you want to get into?
It was, I mean, at the end of the day, it's what you expect when you play a 10-1 SEC team. Just a lot of standing around, like a couple passes and then chucking up a three, and then Vandy they're having their way in the offensive rebounds. The turnover count, I don't remember the final, but when we left, it was like 19-3 or something. So they just turned it over, did not shoot well, and were like 4 of 20 from threes. It was just a classic game of a team playing SEC opponent. They're pretty solid. Vandy's pretty solid this year, and yeah, Brody Fox had a bit of a rough game. Had trouble getting going. Had a couple good moves to the basket, but was 5 of 12 from the free throw line.
Yeah,
That's been a struggle of his on the season.
They were keying on Brody Fox pretty hard. Like, I think they were aware of what he's able to do with his back to the basket, so it was not instant doubles, but as soon as he put the ball on the floor, another guy was coming to make him get rid of it and force somebody else to beat you. But like you said, a lot of just swinging the ball around the perimeter, not really making an attempt to get towards the basket and create anything else. And for the 4-minute stretch that they actually did that, they put up more points than they did the rest of the game.
Yeah.
There at the end of the first half. It was funny because we were sitting by this guy that had bet the first half under, and then he was just sitting, he was relaxing, and then the Citadel finally started to get to the basket. He
I remember they hit a
sweating
three.
a little bit. That was.
It was like to make it 49-21, and he was like, "No."
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, Vanderbilt looks a lot better than they did last year for sure. But classic bottom of the SoCon team facing an SEC team.
I just thought maybe be close for the first 5-6 minutes at least.
It was still worse than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that should be like a 30-point game, not a 52-point game. And the most notable result of the night, Wofford over St. Louis. Big enough of a win for John Rothstein to tweet, St. Louis loses a bye game to Wofford, the epitome of brutality.
Wow.
So Um, we were tuned in to a couple of games in Memorial Gym once it got kind of out of hand. Um,
So within the first
I
minute.
I picked Arizona and Samford, and Taylor was smart enough to tune in to Wofford St. Louis. What are some of your thoughts on that one?
So I was only able to watch mainly the second half, but I did, or no, I watched it in the first half, and they were kind of struggling. They were down seven at halftime, and in my mind, when it went to halftime, I was like, oh, they're gonna let it slip away on the road again. But Corey Tripp really stepped up, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and efficient 24 points also, 10 of 16 from the floor. And then you saw me in the car. Filowich had a little stretch where he took over, like had 8 of the last 10 points, like was getting to the rim, ended up with a double double. And then
Mm-hmm.
Lorenz had 13 off the bench, and it was just like a nice gritty win. And Tripp had some plays down the stretch where he had back to back mid range, and then he had a dunk assisted by Filowich, and then he had a layup that kind of put it out of reach, or not out of reach because they almost sold, but
Yeah.
like put them at five, like 30 seconds left. But a great win, and that's how I expected them to play to start.
Um, late game execution wasn't. There was a couple of good, plays there, but there was a lot of miscues down the stretch for
Yeah,
Wofford that they ended up escaping.
fouling on
Can't
the
I,
three. Was it
Dylan Bailey
Yeah, he
fouling on
fouled
the
on the three.
three, and I believe he missed
Yeah, he
his
missed one of the free
second free
throws.
throw. Was it the 1-and-1? I can't
I think
remember.
so.
Not to come after Dylan Bailey, but missed the back end of the 1-and-1 and then fouled the 3-point shooter.
Back to back.
If you're gonna foul as soon
Yeah.
as he crosses half court or even before, you can't let him get into a
Because that
shooting
was
motion.
they were up three at that point, and the guy just missed. He made the first two and missed the third one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
that's what I thought.
love this from Dwight Perry. I'm assuming he was the mastermind behind it. If it was Filowich, shout out, dude, because
When
this
he
is
would call the
he
timeout,
they
that was
so
awesome.
St. Louis misses the third free throw, or Filowich gets subbed in. St. Louis, like they know he can't shoot free throws. St. Louis misses the third free throw. Filowich grabs it in midair before someone can foul him. He calls timeout and they sub him
That
right
was
back out.
impressive because that
And
takes
then
like no, you have no time to think there. Just
and
that had to have
then
been drawn up.
so whoever Dwight Perry, Kyler Filowich, whoever it was that had the stones to do that, congrats to you because that was
Yeah.
massive. And then Corey Tripp gets the free throws, nails them, and then great defense on Avila there at the end
Hmm.
to seal it. Just a huge win for Wofford, for a team that really hasn't played their best basketball through the non-conference schedule. Certainly looks like they're starting to find it a little bit
Hmm.
more after what they did a couple weeks, or especially after the Charleston loss. But
Yeah.
outside of that, they're certainly finding it. Um, but yeah, good to see them start to get back on track for sure.
Hopefully they
Um,
continue that trend.
I know you hope they continue that
Yeah.
trend.
Yeah.
Now on our ode to non-conference play, um, we're both gonna pick some of our favorite moments, whether it be a moment in a game or the game itself. What was your favorite moment through the non-conference schedule?
I mean, it had to be PJ Smith's game winner, but it was also my least favorite because we almost went and didn't. So I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Because that place sounded electric. But I bet that was awesome to
Yeah.
see. And I think he had 21 of the game. So I mean, anytime you see game winner like that, it's just insane. And they're down one, like it was a 30 footer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be the best moment. That's the moment where I literally jumped off my couch and I was like, "What the heck?"
Lesson to any young journalists out there: if you want to cover basketball and you get an opportunity to cover high school football,
I forgot that was the reason.
schedule schedule the high school football games around the basketball games that you want to
Mm.
see, because you'll miss things like PJ Smith game winner at Belmont. Um, that was my best moment as well,
Hmm.
just because I had a clipboard and I was attempting to keep stats at a high school game, and I was playing it on my phone on the clipboard, so I did see it live. I just
There you go.
was unable to fully grasp the moment. Um, for me, I also put VMI's 3-0 start because it's been a long time since they started
Yeah.
3-0. And more specifically, the AJ Clark off the backboard alley-oop against Bellarmine
That was insane. I forgot about that.
that made SportsCenter top 10.
I'm adding that to mine. I forgot that happened. That was insane.
That was one of the more nasty, like, basketball plays
Yeah.
I've ever seen. Like, that felt like Heat LeBron. Like,
Yeah.
that was just gross.
Weren't we watching that together for that? I feel like we were. And yeah, that's hilarious.
We were, yeah.
I had another VMI one. It was actually similar. It was when they passed their win total of last year, got to 5 wins, and now they're at 6. But when they got to 5,
Yeah.
which is all makes it more crazier to think about last year, and how far they come is good, even if they're not all the way there yet.
Shout out VMI because they have taken quite the step forward. Forward enough that they are not ranked last in the league in the net rating of KenPom. They are 9th. So last
And
year
who's
they
last,
were
Matt?
the Citadel is in last place. You had them. We had the same Citadel VMI.
We had them in
ranking,
last.
so-
Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah. It's kind of a victory lap.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't see it that way. Next for me, it may be recency bias, but Wofford beating St. Louis on the road. You got to think that's a lot of the Indiana State team that almost got an at-large bid last year as a non-power 4 or group of 10. So or group of 5, excuse me. So that's a really, really impressive win to go on the road and beat that. And anytime you can get John Rothstein to tweet, epitome of brutality, it's got to mean something. So, massive win for the program over at Wofford. What do you got?
I had Brody Fox's their Citadel's first game against Boston College, because even though they only lost by 9, and no one knew how good this guy was, so for him to come in and single-handedly keep him in it, everybody was like, "Wow, It still might not be great, but they've got a go-to guy," which I've talked about multiple times on here, which is something they feel like they've lacked in the years I've watched, at least.
You don't have to preach about Brody Fox to me. He's on my fantasy
Yeah, I
team.
know. You're right. You're right.
I'm a Brody Fox believer.
That's
dude.
true.
Next for me, I have the Cardiac Sanford Bulldogs in their back-to-back comeback wins over North Dakota State and Utah Valley. It was literally just a Thanksgiving tournament, and they scheduled these teams, and don't know what got into them in some of the first halves of those games, but the comebacks that they were able to put together were pretty impressive, and buckyball at its finest, if we're being honest. Well, maybe not finest, but at its peak efficiency.
High-scoring games.
Yeah, that's what you want, buckyball. What else you got?
I actually had Sanford holding on against North Alabama because they were on the road and they were up 20, and to blow that and still go into overtime and have to stay mentally ready and win that, because a lot of times I can't imagine how deflating that is, and so for them to still pull it off after blowing that, I thought that was impressive. I remember watching that, being like, it's a resilient win.
I mean, yeah, on the road too. North Alabama is 152nd in the net right now. So, somewhere kind of in that Utah Valley, Seattle range. So, yeah, getting that win on the road, pretty impressive for Sanford. And, the mental focus to
absolutely
blow a lead and then still get it done in overtime. Lastly, I have UNC Greensboro's win over High Point. Dude, that was an impressive win.
High Point's 11-2.
High Point has somehow plummeted just below North Alabama.
Oh, really?
The net, but they haven't played a quad 1 game, so that probably has a little something to do with it. But yeah, I mean, High Point's a good team, and just having the atmosphere around UNCG, playing on campus, like
Hmm.
I preached about a few weeks ago. Um, Kenyon Giles stepping up big without Ronald Polite in that one. Um, the the Kyrie on the left wing
Yeah,
three
that
as
was tough.
in the last minute or so of the game. That was quite the environment and a really fun game to watch. An impressive win for sure.
Absolutely.
You got any more moments?
Um, I would say Honor Huff finally coming into his own, or come not coming into his own, but finally having a good shooting game against. Was it who they play the game before last? It was like 85-67. Alabama
Ten.
A&M, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But finally getting 24 points, hitting 6 of 11 from three, desperately
Yeah.
needed that, and that was after coming off the bench the game before. So maybe that was the kick in the head he needed to be like, all right. Which I mean, give him some pass because that mask, I can't even imagine shooting a basketball with that. But it was good to see him finally have a good shooting game,
Yeah.
good scoring game overall.
The the benching Huff is interesting to me, um, because that doesn't work with a lot of guys.
Oh yeah,
A lot of guys. So if you try to move to the bench like that, it's a fit immediately. Like they're done with you. They think you don't trust them anymore. They don't play for like it's a whole thing, and it's like for Huff to accept it, understand that he hasn't played as well as he can, um, and take it moving forward, and then to he just scored his
yeah.
thousandth point the other night, um, and like you said, scored I think 24. Um, but it looks like he's back. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, just the ability to take that and not immediately just quit and understand that the coaches think that that's what's best for the team is really cool to see. And I think that kind of environment around Chattanooga will be good for them moving forward going into
Hmm.
conference play. Um, we'll now count down the best wins of non-conference play. We kind of just did that a little bit, but um, we'll actually rank them. We both picked our top 5. What is your 5th best win?
Actually, this might be recency bias too, but Wofford over St. Louis,
Mm-hmm.
just because of how big that game was. They're going in the game 4-7, only won one road game, and for them to play like that, especially closing out non-conference play, huge for momentum, huge for the team, huge for Corey Tripp, who's been playing decent but a little inefficient. Had an
Yeah.
efficient game. Filowich
Mm-hmm.
had a great second half, like I said, and they got good production off the bench from Lorenz and a couple other guys, and so could be recency bias, but that was and trailing by 7 at halftime, which isn't crazy, but still
Yeah.
trailing. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's my number 5.
Um, I'll do my 5 and 4 here because I have back-to-back Furmans.
Okay.
Furman over Princeton at 5, and Furman over Belmont at 4. If I'm not mistaken, Princeton and Belmont are kind of similar so far in the net. Um, Belmont is actually 98th, it looks like. So,
That's a
um,
good team over there.
no, sorry, I'm wrong. Princeton 127, Belmont 119. Both pretty good mid-major teams. Only difference is Princeton was at home.
Mm.
Belmont was on the road, and Belmont was maybe a sexier win with the buzzer beater
Yeah.
with PJ coming back to Nashville. So that would be my 5 and 4. What's your 4th?
It's funny you say that. At 4, I had Furman Princeton, and at 3, I had Furman Belmont.
Look at that. Wow.
That's hilarious.
Great minds.
Yep.
Great minds.
Yep. Yep.
Third, I have Samford over North Dakota State, simply because of how they did it. I've probably beaten the horse to death, but they were down 14 with 3 minutes ago, something like that.
That was the one we gave up, or like
Yeah,
We had
that's
checked
one
like
I had to.
2 minutes left.
That's one where I had to come
Yeah,
back and address the
yeah.
nation beforehand and own up to our mistakes. Um, but yeah, just an insane win, and then kind of almost ran away with it in overtime once it got there.
Mm.
Um, and I think those two games for Samford is when it really started to click for them. And I think that tournament and those two comebacks really brought out the chemistry of that group. So they're going to be a monster moving forward for anybody. What do you have second?
I swear, viewers, we did not plan this. That was my number 2.
Dude, you're the worst.
I'm starting to think we. My number 1 is going to be your number 2 or 1.
What's your number one?
Greensboro over High Point.
Jesus Christ.
Is that your number 1?
Yes. Oh, no. All
Good
right,
content right here.
for anybody that thinks we planned this, there wasn't that many good non-conference wins.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot to pick from.
It's a lot of them playing SEC opponents or D2 opponents, so it's hard to find good wins in
I
non-conference.
guess maybe shout out Furman over Seattle, I guess. I don't
There's a
think
solid
that
win.
was that phenomenal of a win, but I guess I can give that some props. And I had Wofford over St. Louis second, so we had the same
Okay.
five,
It's just a different order.
just different. Like
Yeah.
you just didn't value St. Louis as much as I did.
Yeah. I tried, because,
Um,
yeah. I probably put that higher, but I was like, oh, it's going to look like recency bias, so I just put 5. But,
no, I value that win a lot.
yeah, that's a good one.
Um, the SoCon against Q1 though has not been very good. Chat 20-point loss to USC. UNC Greensboro. I guess that's not bad. 13-point loss to SMU.
Yeah, they played solid that game.
Yeah, well, Wofford by 50 to Duke,
Oh,
which it's Duke,
Western,
so.
by 50 to Tennessee.
Actually, not even just Q1, just any Power 4, I guess. VMI by, 35 to Pitt. Western Carolina by 13 to Wake. Okay.
Samford only 8 to
Samford.
Michigan State, though.
Sanford, yeah.
That's really the only one where I was tuned in the whole way because that was
Gre-
somewhat close.
Also, Greensboro does a good job of playing to their competition.
Though they only lost by, was it 11 to Indiana?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I forgot about that one.
Western Carolina by 34 to Florida State. Somebody needs to play the Arms of the Angels song while I'm reading all these. Make that an edit. Yeah, and Furman 35 to Kansas. There might be some others, and then the Citadel against Vanderbilt last night. Rest in peace to all those games. Those were we lost our chances this year. Unless Chattanooga does something against Indiana this weekend, we'll see. But now is the witching hour, Taylor.
What is that?
We are gonna take a look back on our preseason predictions.
All right.
And see
I'll take it on the chin.
Where they land today. Jack is not safe from this, by the way. I went back and got his predictions.
Okay, good. Yeah, you can't get out of it.
And we'll see where his land.
Are you using net rankings, or are you using like standings, just like their overall record so far?
I'm using their KenPom net rankings.
Or KenPom, okay.
Yeah.
That's better.
Do you want me to start with you, or do you want me to start with me?
We can start. Get my crap out of the way.
All right. Your power rankings at the beginning of the season. Number 1, Wofford.
Mm-hmm. And they're 5 and 7.
Currently 4th in the KenPom net.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've played a tough non-conference schedule.
They have only played 3 home games and they're 3-0. So
Um,
hopefully they'll pick it up when they get more home games.
yeah, but you were very, very high on Wofford,
I was
so
very high, and then I got humbled quickly.
um, you also had Tripp on your first team, which
That could still
fair,
happen.
and Dylan Bailey and Filowich second team, which is not looking as good.
Vilowich is doing better though. Dylan Bailey though, yeah.
You had Chattanooga in second, and they are in sixth of the net. But we all know they've had their issues with health, and
They'll get better once they're fully healthy, which I guess they're just about there, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
they just played their first fully healthy game.
that's right.
Except R.I.P. Ryan Lopez, I believe he's done.
Really?
The walk on, yeah, I believe he's done for the year
Dang.
with some knee trouble, unfortunately. So there will be no surfing meme this year in the conference tournament.
I think that was cursed anyway.
True. You had Samford third, and Samford tops the board right now in the Ken Palm net. So
Okay. It's not terrible.
then we go ETSU, Furman. Furman is second right now
I dropped the ball on that one so far.
but they are first in overall record at 11-1. And then we go Mercer, Greensboro, Western Carolina, VMI, and the Citadel. So
That's pretty predictable, I feel like, those last
you
four.
and I had pretty similar. So I went Samford in first. They're in first. ETSU in second. They're in third. Chattanooga third. They're in sixth. Wofford 4. They're 4. Furman 5. They are 2. And then Mercer, UNCG, Western, VMI, and the Citadel.
Oh, we had the same last 4 or last 5. That's funny.
Yes. Mercer, though, not in that 6th spot. They are 7th. So,
Okay.
UNC Greensboro has really overachieved where we thought they would. Jack, however, had UNC Greensboro in 6th. They're in 5th. So, where we believed in Mercer, he believed in UNC Greensboro.
And he's been right so far.
And he has been right thus far. But he went Chattanooga first. And they're in 6th. So he at this point, based on KenPom, he missed the mark more than you did on your
Let's go.
number 1 pick.
Let's go.
But he makes up for it with UNCG. We
Yeah.
all had Furman in 5th, which
That's
back,
crazy to think about.
not a good pick. All conference teams and awards. You and Jack had Bonham, Huff, Peterson, Tripp, and Ryland Jones. Bonham and Huff haven't been exactly what
No.
we thought they were.
They're showing signs, though.
I had Bonham, Huff, Jones, Tripp, and Jaden Seymour instead of
So almost the
Peterson.
same.
So
Okay.
we all had Bonham, Huff, Jones, and Tripp. I would say Jones is probably would have it at this point, just because everyone understands at this point that his impact is bigger than the box score. Tripp hasn't exactly been a player of the year guy that we thought he was. We all kind of agreed that Bonham, Huff, and Tripp were the 3 candidates.
And none of them really started that well.
It's interesting because, you could say that Huff has played bad. I feel like even he would tell you that. But Bonham and Tripp haven't been bad necessarily. They just haven't been like...
It's just been like a little inefficient,
Yeah, if any...
Because you look at the numbers, they're not terrible. Because I think Bonham at this point is like 14 a game with 42% shooting, which has gone up a little bit. But like he's getting good looks and he's starting to finish them. But yeah, the start of the year was just a slow start. Same with Tripp. Tripp I think is 40% in the year, but last night it made me feel better about it. So hopefully those
Yeah,
guys can get it going on conference play.
definitely an underrated part of that is Bonham missed a lot of time this summer with the foot I believe that he played
Yeah,
through all of last year. So, um, meanwhile, I think both the ETSU guys look pretty good so far. I think they would both
Pearson's
be.
really impressed me.
I think
Same
they
with
would
Seymour,
both
but
have
Pearson.
a. They would both have a first team nod at this
Yeah,
point. If I had to do a first team, it would probably be Peterson, Seymour, and Jones to this point. Um, who else would you put on there?
PJ Smith maybe.
Yeah, duh.
He's
PJ
averaging
Smith.
17.
Yeah,
Who the
I'd
fifth be? Brody
say.
Fox. I mean, I know the record's not great.
Uh,
He's averaging. Well, he was averaging 20 before last night. I don't know what it is now.
if anything, it might be Kenyon Giles.
That is true. He's been balling.
It would probably be Peterson, Seymour, Smith, Giles, and Jones, maybe.
No, Jones is leading the conference in assists, is he not? Or he's close at least.
Um, he is
Okay.
by quite the margin.
Wow. Yeah. I
He's
figured.
leading by, he's leading by almost or just over half an assist a game. So yeah,
That's pretty good.
um, he's actually not leading an assist to turnover ratio, which is interesting.
Oh, wow.
But Garrison Kiesler's in front of him. Interestingly enough,
Really?
um,
Would not have guessed that.
and the other one is Alan Struthers, but
Okay.
when you factor in usage rate, it was what Jones
Yeah.
is doing is much more impressive. Second team, you had Seymour, Dylan Bailey, PJ Smith, Filowich, and Donovan Atwell. PJ Smith, you get 1 point for because you put him on the
Yeah.
wrong team, but Dylan Bailey probably wouldn't be getting a nod at this point, nor would Filowich. And
I still have hope for
Donovan
him.
Atwell.
No, not Atwell.
I don't want to sound like a hater, but Atwell just
I still have
hasn't
hope for
been-
Filowich.
Yeah, Atwell just hasn't been an all-league kind of guy. It's
Yeah.
just not his role.
Been solid, but no.
Jack goes Kyler Filowich, Jaden Seymour, Colin Holloway, Donovan Atwell, and Frank Champion.
I haven't seen enough of
Seymour,
Champion yet.
yes. Colin Holloway is starting to settle in, that for sure. But he's only averaging 10.9 points a game. We kind of mentioned early or at the first episode or I mentioned that his 13 a game at Tulane would kind of transfer to, was it 13? I think
Something like that.
would be like 16, 17. But you didn't think about playing probably 10 less minutes a game with the buckyball system.
Yeah.
And mine was Peterson, PJ Smith, Dylan Bailey, Colin Holloway, and Charles Johnston. That's a pick right
You
there.
had Bailey as well.
I did have Bailey as well.
To be fair, I think I almost picked Charles Johnston if I remember correctly.
If I had to pick a second team now, it would probably be Brownell.
Brownell, Fox.
Brownell, Fox.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they probably don't have a good enough record to.
Does your guy make it, Kyutilis?
I don't know. I put T.J. Johnson over him at this point. He's been balling out for them.
Yeah, he's been really good. So maybe T.J. Johnson, Tyler Johnson from Mercer,
Yeah,
and
Yeah, him
one
too.
of Bonham, Trey Fort, or Corey Tripp, I would say.
I would say I'd probably get the nod to Tripp.
Probably. Really?
Yeah,
I was going to say
actually
Bonham.
no. I forgot Bonham had a 28-point game,
Yeah,
which Tripp hasn't had a game like that. Yeah,
Bonham's figuring it out now for
Yeah.
sure. Player of the year. You and I both said Bonham. Jack said Honor Huff,
hmm
which has not aged well, I would say.
Unfortunately not.
Huff at 12.5 points per game, shooting just 36% from the field and surprisingly 33% from three. That's definitely come up from the first few weeks.
It was like 20% early on.
Definitely not a player of the year to this point, but who knows what could happen in conference play. As everyone can assume, if it ended today, it would be PJ Smith.
Team record in play. Gotta be him.
He's been awesome since he came back from that hand injury. Even though he's only played in 10 of their 12 games, I want to say.
They're 11-1.
They're 11-1, 16.5 points a game, 50% from the field, and 48% from three.
Ooh.
With 3.5 assists a game and a 2.1 assist to turnover ratio. He's just been so good this year. He's taken such a step forward offensively, shooting more off the dribble. Not that he wasn't initiating offense last year, but everything runs through his hands this year. And yes, the team has meshed a lot better than last year, but without
that doesn't
PJ
happen
Smith,
without his play.
Without PJ Smith, they are not close to 11-1. Defensive player of the year. Interesting one. Nobody to this point is screaming at me.
I know. If I had to pick one right now, I don't know who would.
So, looking back,
I remember.
I picked Jaden Seymour.
That's
you picked Kyler Filowich in the moment.
Yeah. Because I forgot to do one beforehand.
Jack picked Cooper Bowser, who would probably be the front runner for me today.
He's averaging 2 blocks a game or something, isn't he?
2 blocks a game, yep. I'd love to put Oleinka in there, but the sample size is just not big enough. He only plays 11 minutes a game. But when he's in, he changes everything for them defensively with his length and athleticism. And Bowser does the same stuff. It was 6'11".
Yeah.
Can jump out of the gym. So it would be Bowser, in my opinion, today.
Jack gets points on that one.
Jack does get points on that one.
Who was yours again?
Jaden Seymour.
That's right, okay. That one could still happen.
I think as we get into league play and he gets to match up more with some of these wings like Brody Fox and TJ Johnson or Keudelis, Colin Holloway, Donovan Atwell, guys like that, I think we'll start to see his defensive ability more.
Yeah.
And just the impact that he can have on that end of the floor, but haven't seen it as much as I would say a Cooper Bowser at this point. Another sleeper would be Josh Holloway.
Oh, yeah, he's been pretty solid.
Leading the league in steals, or tied for first in the league in steals with 2 right now. So,
who's he tied with?
Ahmad Robinson. Interestingly enough.
That's interesting. I would not have guessed that.
Who said small guys can't guard?
Huh? Hard over height.
Coach of the year. It's Bob Ritchie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really a question.
Yeah.
And you know who picked Bob Ritchie?
Who?
None of us. Nobody did.
Okay, I was about to say. So we all had Furman fifth.
You both picked Dwight Perry.
Yeah.
And I picked Brooks Savage. Neither of those are dead in the water yet, but the roster that Bob Ritchie has built, the way that he's got the buy-in from all those guys to play their roles to the best of their ability, unlocking PJ Smith now as Pegues and some of those other guys left, has just been great stuff from Bob Ritchie. So
And coming off, 17 and 16 last year. It's just really disappointing to rebuild. And
Yeah.
yeah, to your point, unleash PJ Smith and some of those other guys have stepped up too. Garrett
Yeah.
Heen's a good glue guy. Can do a little bit of everything.
Garrett Heen X Factor.
I like him.
Look it
Good
up.
X Factor. Oh, is that you picked for them?
Uh huh.
Yeah.
It's all confidence, baby.
Yeah.
He's balling. You see his dunk the other night? Yeah.
I did.
That's a
Maybe
great
that was
pick.
what I was thinking.
Newcomer of the year is an interesting one because Jack and I picked Colin Holloway, who has been good, but probably not award worthy. You though picked Charles Johnston,
Ah, that's right. I was like,
who also has been good,
yeah, but maybe
great
not.
at times even.
Mhm.
He's been phenomenal actually. But does he beat Brody Fox?
I don't think so.
Does he beat Jaden Brownell? I don't think either of them. Especially with what Brownell has become for that Sanford team.
Leading scorer, right? Like with what, 14 ish?
Yep.
13, 14?
14 and a half in 20 minutes.
That's impressive. You put him 30. Wow. In 20 minutes? That's insane.
Shooting 60% from the field and 44% from three. With 4 rebounds a game. So, that's a tough one, though.
No.
For you, Fox or Brownell?
Team success, I'm going to say Brunel.
Because Fox has been good, but
But Sidell's starting to.
16.8 points a game on 58% from the field, but he's shooting 13% from three.
Oh, it dropped that much after the Vandy game? Wow. I swear he was averaging 19 yesterday.
Yeah, watching him shoot in person, he's got
You got the little hitch?
He's got an around the world thing.
Yeah. The Tatum
And
hitch.
It's not that because Tatum
I guess Tatum fixed it, I
last
guess.
year. Well, yeah, but Tatum got his hips into the ball when he shot. Fox just has it's unnecessary motion. And I think that's what contributes.
I would say Fox is the most
Not that
surprising, but I got to give it to Brownell.
Yeah.
Because of his play, limited minutes, and team success. Hard not to pick him.
Not that I'm a basketball mechanical coach, but just something I noticed. What else do we got? Anything? Any other thoughts on our preseason power rankings or awards or?
It wasn't as bad, at least mine, as I thought. Because I know the first place I just dropped the ball in so far, but I feel like the last half we all pretty much nailed it. Not nailed it, but had the right teams in there, and just none of us saw Furman coming. Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then conference play is just so hard because you sometimes play a D2 team or an SEC team, and everybody's still figuring things out. It's really hard to judge, but
Furman fans, we figured we'd get on ourselves for not knowing Furman would be amazing before you guys did, but I'm sure you guys still will, which will be fun. Yeah. You know what's funny? In my notes, before I had a chance to look at any of the advanced numbers on KenPom, I wrote that putting the Citadel in last was a bad pick.
Sure.
Just because they looked a lot better than I thought they would. And then I look at the numbers and they're still in last.
They've started to fall off a little these last couple games.
Also last night.
They looked a lot better to start. No.
Or
Seeing that in
the
person, too.
Did not help at all. There is a little bit of a debate, though, that I'm having. Is who will finish at the bottom?
If I were to guess right now, it'd be Western. They just... I might end up being one of the military schools, but so far, Western, they're 4-7. They only average 69 points a game, shooting 41% from the floor. Their leading scorer is Ice Emery, who's averaging only 11 a game on below 40% shooting. They just do not look like a very good team to me. They did have that one close game against Who was it? Where they lost by 13? Notre Dame? Yeah, but a team like that, I can't remember who it was.
Wake Forest, maybe.
Wake Forest, similar colors.
We
But
said this last night.
we did. We had the same
Wake
conversation.
Forest, Notre Dame, and Georgia
Yeah,
Tech are the
yeah,
same
yeah,
school.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I just if I were to pick right now, it'd be them. And I almost was tempted to do that in my preseason rankings, but I would have felt stupid if it ended up being the Citadel or VMI, which it still
it
could be. But
just when it comes to the eye test for me, like the Citadel feels like a better team than Western Carolina.
I agree.
Just with Fox and the guards and Adebisi has been really good for them.
Yeah,
Keenan Davis can shoot the ball. I just think they passed the eye test a little better than Western.
a little bit.
Yeah, like the margin is not wide
Yeah.
between these three teams.
But the Citadel, your point, has a few go-to guys. I don't. There's
Right.
no one that's been proven to take over a game so far for Western, like
I mean,
consistently.
and you would think it would be Pelote.
Yeah, he's averaging what 9 a game. Isn't terrible, but kind of expected more out of him.
Yeah.
He did drop 20 the other night, 20 something. So maybe he'll pick that up in conference play.
Yeah, I'd also look
Yeah.
for Cord Stansberry, who's been really good.
Mm-hmm.
If they use him a little bit more than they have been, I know the ball is in Ice Emery's hands a lot, but sharing the love is never a bad thing. So we will see who ends up there at the bottom, but it definitely feels like the league is in a couple different sections. So I would put
Yeah.
Sanford, Furman, ETSU probably in their own category at this
Yeah,
point.
I was gonna say.
The top three.
I would agree.
And then the bottom three being Western, VMI, and the Citadel. And then Mercer, Chattanooga, UNCG, and Wofford. Kind of middle of the pack,
Yeah.
with Chattanooga and Wofford being almost
Higher
a
up the middle.
subcategory. Yeah.
I was gonna say I feel like they're maybe a little.
Yeah,
I don't know,
maybe
UNCG's
like
look.
maybe 4 little sections.
It's almost just like Mercer's in its own category.
Mercer, no, they have to be in the UNCG category at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Kempom would say opposite. Kempom would say that UNCG is plus 0.7 in net rating, and Mercer is minus 6.3 net rating.
Interesting.
So maybe Mercer is just their own little.
Yeah.
Because going either way, Mercer is at -6. Going up, the next team is Chattanooga at -1.4. And going down, the next team is Western Carolina at -12.86.
Ooh.
So they're not within 5 points of anybody either way.
Lord.
Yeah, you know what? Mercer is just their own little category.
That's what
Ryan
kind of
Ritter's-
expected from them, I think.
Ryan Ritter's just doing his own thing over there.
Yeah.
But we will see.
Mm-hmm.
That is our recap of non-conference play. And this shouldn't be our last episode of 2024. We should be trying to get one more out before conference play starts on January 1st. But we will be taking a break next week as it is Christmas. I don't think we want to record on Christmas. I don't think you guys want to listen to us on Christmas, so we will take a little break, as the teams do, through the holiday, and then hit the ground running when we get into conference play.
Hell
Just
yeah.
a couple of weeks.
Can't wait.
Exciting stuff. But yeah, that is all we got for you this week. YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Like, comment, subscribe. Yell at us on Twitter. Sorry if this episode sounded like two guys just yapping, but that's kind of what non-conference play is. So
Yep.
we will see you guys for conference play in a couple of weeks.